From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, everybody. Craig Sherwood here, along with Ross Benson.
It is, I got to hit the button. I got to do all sorts of stuff. My hands are up. That means I'm moving. My voice is working. And I took some cough medicine, so hopefully I won't have to use the cough button.
Okay. Beautiful. Everybody enjoyed that. Well, let's get off to, you all right?
Well, I just slipped to a different camera.
Okay. Oh, wait a second. You got to take care of the chiclet. So, we're off to a great start so far, aren't we, everybody? Welcome to the week that was, and the week that will be our November 13th edition. And it's going to be, it's an edition we actually were putting together a couple days ago and said, yeah, not really much to talk about. And now we have
Fireworks.
We've got fireworks. Yes, we do. And we're finding the city has gone into secret mode. It's, Mike Nolan would say that they've hidden the weenie and nobody can find it but them. So, anyhow, let's get on to last week's council meeting to start with.
Isn't that where it starts?
Yep. Last, on November 7th. Council meeting, we talked about last week, about the military equipment, and as my prediction came to fruition, the council voted 4-1 to accept the military equipment, or, quote, military equipment. And, of course, who voted against it? Constantine Anthony, keeping his promise not to fund police, things of that nature. He also abstained from receiving the money from the Cops Foundation to support different services. I find that a little strange, too. I mean, some of that can go to the Met team, but he did not want to vote for it or against it. You know what? We ask our politicians to do one thing, take a stand. It's just like the politicians in Sacramento who don't want to decide something controversial. They say, well, let's put it on the ballot and let the people decide. That's where we're voting for people to run our state, to run our city, to make decisions. Not to abstain, not take a position. I can live with him voting against the weapons thing. I can, because at least, okay, he stayed true to his position. But not taking a stand either way on the other thing?
But like you say, you recall, he also asked for a report, which we saw on the city manager's page a week or so ago, about moving the mental health, the Met team,
right,
to the fire department.
The police and fire department, which makes no sense at all.
No.
And if you'd ever listened to the radios back in the day when you could actually listen to the radios before the police department went to secret mode, you'd hear all the calls that would go out for the Met team and the situations involved. And that's not for a fireman to go out there in a hostile situation.
Well, on an average basis, we can hear Verdugo fire.
Oh, we can hear fire, right? Yeah.
And how many calls do they go on that say stage 4 PD?
Right.
All those calls, and I'm finding you'll hear on the fire radio, the captain of the rig will say, what's the ETA of the police department? What are they doing? Why can't they get them backup?
And they can't hear them.
Oh, they can't.
The fire department can't hear them.
We had an incident down here on Sarah about a week ago where a guy was threatening to shoot up a whole mess of apartments.
Right.
Fire department got called out there. The battalion chief on the scene said, send me a police officer to my command post. We can't hear what they're doing and what they're talking about. It's just
great system we have there. We're encrypted, so not even the people who need to listen can listen.
Yeah.
And they're thinking that, okay, we'll encrypt them. But you got to remember, these aren't radio techs on fire rigs. These are firemen.
Right.
They can't figure out, okay, well, if I push this button and I go to this channel and I do that. No, they don't have time for that. They just need to pick up the mic and say, hey, what's going on? Or, they want to listen to something. But now it's the age of the secret police.
Well, today, on my way here, there was a call at the Hilton Gardens of an inebriated female that was threatening staff. And I heard the captain come on and say, Do we know when the police are going to show up? We're staging outside,
Yeah.
and it just
Well, a week ago, I put out a tweet and said, we don't know what's going on. We can't hear the police anymore. I put a tweet out, and I get a lieutenant sending me an email saying, do not say that. We're encrypted for a reason. And I'm going, what are you going to spank me or something? I go, and he said, he goes, we're encrypted for a reason. I go, it was your choice. It's not mandated by law. It was mandated by law to have one channel encrypted so you don't put people's personal information over the air. You've had that for 10 years. Everything else is something you decide to do on your own. So don't tell me you guys decided to do this. This was your decision, your choice to lock everybody out from listening to you so the media can't hear you anymore.
Well, I think we're going to hear when we get into the itty gritty of our show today, we're going to find out and show where the city somewhere else is not too transparent.
Yeah, not too transparent at all. Okay, anyhow, so that was the city also approved the $1 million for legal fees in the lawsuit fight, and right now, we'll get into it later, but I thought the city was going to do the right thing, and this lawsuit we're going to talk about later, they just threw away $500,000 of your taxpayers' money and didn't disclose a thing about it. So we'll see. And I'm worried about this $1 million. What's going to happen? We're going to start the lawsuit and then say, oh, never mind. But here's $1 million. So we'll get into that. They're also voted to use the $250,000 received from the Avion development. That's the big development that was put in by the airport that is already in and functional. Some of you know it's where Randy's Donuts is.
Randy's Donuts?
Randy's Donuts.
All right. Isn't there a dog house there too?
I have no idea.
There's a cat house. No, there's not a cat house.
Easy. This is Nevada.
There is a dog house up there and Randy's Donuts and what's interesting about this $250,000 though, as you brought, and I'll let you explain in a second. The $250,000 was given by Avion Canada as a strong arm tactic by the city, saying we need to do some things with this money, and they're using that money now to give it to a consultant once again for this Golden State project. Now, what did you remember what happened? Well, back in the day when the gentleman who owns Avion went to City Council to get the project approved, that night, before they voted, Councilmember Bob Frutos brought up, I want $250,000 put aside for road improvements all the way down Hollywood Way at Alameda Hollywood Way, all along that corridor.
Because he increased traffic.
Yes, and that money
is now being used for something else.
Yeah.
It's called bait and switch.
Yeah, it kind of gets me that I remember that night. The property owner, the developer, he was not too happy because you're going to throw a project away, or you're going to agree with what this councilman threw in.
And not one city council member probably even watched the meeting back then, knew about the meeting, or
right.
It's all a new council, and they're saying they didn't even ask about the history of where the money came from, what was supposed to be used for. But now they're going to give it to a consultant. We're good with giving our money to consultants, aren't we?
Oh, we are.
And they approved the media district plan. I got a report on it, but it's progressing. I found it interesting that Nick Schultz and Nikki Perez, they recused themselves.
Well, they both live right in the middle of it.
I get that. That's what happens if a third member had lived in that area too. So we wouldn't have had a decision because it has two members now. And when you make projects up for the whole city, don't you live in that city?
Well, I don't see, because normally when the city attorney advises council members
right
to recluse themselves, it's because of financial gain somewhere.
Right. I'm not sure how getting a report on the plan that they're not going to vote on.
Well, maybe the only thing is, I'm pretty sure Nikki has made it pretty clear she rents. So I don't know where she would make any financial gains. But I would say property value where Vice Mayor Schultz owns, he owns that house. So you wonder the value of that house.
Well,
So
yeah,
maybe that one I could.
Well, but he also owns that house when he makes other decisions for the city too.
But the media district specific plan.
Well, I understand that, but it's a more of a transportation plan
True.
than anything else. And I don't understand why.
Right.
I get it. You want to be clear on things, but anyhow.
Well, so they what was funny? They left the room.
Yeah.
And they left.
And then they went to bring they wanted to bring back in. Say, okay, we have future agenda items. They already went home. They just left the meeting, and went home.
That one, when they went to look for him and they couldn't find him, it was just they decided to go home.
So I guess they had an agenda item. Nah, phone it in.
Yeah, it just kind of gets me when they did something like, for us that watch the meeting weekly and have been going to council, and they recluse themselves. Okay, you can go to the restroom. They're not going down to the soda machine or whatever. It's just
go home.
Might as well go home.
Thursday there was a promotion.
Wait
Wait a second.
I got my sound effect.
Hey,
at least one of them.
Well, we have our meetings and look what happens.
Yeah, the Burbank Fire Department, we got some guys, they're retiring and some guys are promoting. And this last week I noticed on social media, they put pictures of two guys, Scott Smith, who is now a captain, and John Stockton. Now, I ran into John Stockton a month or so ago.
You heard him, did you?
No, not too bad. But I've known John since he came on the department. The Stockton name in the Burbank Fire Department is quite well known. He has a cousin that is a Burbank fireman. He has another, I think, a brother that is a Glendale fireman.
Okay, don't tell David Gordon about that.
Oh, yeah.
He'll say
his dad was a fireman. Norm Stockton, he retired as a battalion chief. And I believe his grandfather retired as a Burbank fireman. That family is very long so it's kind of neat to see John get promoted to fire captain. Some good experience, and it's great to see young guys get promoted up to captain and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also you saw something about the Spark of Love?
Well, you're right. Spark of Love, we're in November, getting ready for December. Years ago, people probably remember the weather gentleman from Channel 7, Dr. George. He used to collect toys, and I remember them along with the Marines and the fire department. They collect toys for kids. Well, Burbank Fire Department, again, has announced that the Spark of Love toy collection is in full force. If anybody would like to bring a toy, an unwrapped toy, to any Burbank fire station, there is a box there. The firefighters will be glad to accept your gift. And if I recall right, all the toys that Burbank Fire Department collects for the Spark of Love will stay here in Burbank. They will go to Burbank kids not underprivileged, but kids that don't get toys and so forth. So that is a great thing. Again, any Burbank fire station has a box for Spark of Love. I remember years ago, the Metro train used to come through town and they would collect, and they had a huge truck haul away all these toys. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, but then back then it was kind of like Measure H. We do all the paying for it and give all the toys, and they take the toys out to give them somewhere else. That's, our Burbank people need toys.
Yep.
Toys for Tots. Remember Toys for Tots? I don't have a Toys.
Oh, yeah.
CHP does that, I think.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Okay. Friday they observed Veterans Day at McCambridge Park because it wasn't actually Veterans Day. We actually have that on Veterans Day usually. But no, not when it's a Saturday and people don't want to take their weekend off and if they observe the holiday on Friday, why not just work on Saturday? I mean, it's a 3-day weekend, and you're getting I'm sure they had to give most people overtime in the city to work on a city holiday.
Well, and it's funny because at the ceremony, I photographed it, and we had a police captain there, police administrator there, fire chief there, department heads were there. I don't know if they're salary people, but there were quite a few. But one of our legislators, our senator from this district, is a Marine, former Marine, and she got to speak about that. You think about the 11th, at the 11th hour, and so forth, Armistice Day, and the mayor went off script. And I tell you, when he said, "I'm going off script," I think everybody kind of looked at each other and said, "Uh-oh." But he spoke about it quite well, about our Veterans Day. Those 3-day holidays, we've made it into
Yeah.
commercialized, and we forget the real reason.
Well, the real reason it should have been held on Veterans Day.
On Veterans Day. And there were, if on Saturday, I watched the news.
A lot of stuff. Sanford had their big parade.
Yep.
Yeah, Sanford had a parade. You never see a parade in Burbank.
In fact, Carol Manger, our senator, she was the grand marshal of that San Fernando parade.
Well, she's actually my state senator.
Yes, she is.
That's the way Burbank's sliced into two different districts.
Oh, she
on my side, I have her, and on your side, you've got Senator Portantino.
Well, they were both there. And Laura Friedman was there. But of the people speaking, she was the only one that was former military. She was a Marine out of high school. She decided to enlist. And
I heard a couple of our council members weren't there, though.
Yeah, I don't. Nikki Press wasn't there, and Tamala wasn't there. But the mayor was there, and vice mayor, and Zazette. I didn't see our city manager, but there were so many people.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat. There was a gentleman that came out here from Florida, has served in 3 wars, 99 years old.
Wow.
And he drove out here. He had his little walker, and he got up to the podium and he spoke and got a couple of good laughs. He was sharp and just really, really, and the community band played. We had the flyover, and it was this time, they lost the commander of the air squadron. He was killed in a plane-to-plane crash in Las Vegas. They did the team did an extra flyby for him, so they came by 3 or 4 times. And the Burbank Fire Department had their truck company out there. They put that huge American flag up.
Well, the night before that, there was actually a lot of firefighters at the ceremony at Burbank High School.
I saw that.
And, I think you have a lot of former military guys in the fire and police departments. So, it's
I think I saw some policemen in that picture, too.
Yeah.
That was something that Bob Hart, you guys discussed.
Right.
And so forth. There's an article.
We're on our website now.
In fact, people take a look at that story. It's up. It has pictures now, and that's a new writer. If you look at the byline on that, that was one of our newer.
What's his name?
Alexandro.
Last name?
Ooh.
Vega.
There
you go. I have to do the hiring, so I have to worry.
Yeah, right. You're right.
I got to do the paycheck, so I have to know the names.
But he wrote that article. It was nice to Bob Hart. And he quoted one of those guys. They like being recognized.
Yeah.
Some of them, Veterans Day is not about the ones that we've left behind.
No.
It's the ones that serve.
Memorial Day is for the ones.
Correct.
And we didn't leave them behind.
No.
They just didn't make it.
They didn't make it.
Yeah, we don't leave people behind.
But it was real nice to see the Veterans Committee was acknowledged. The mayor shook their hands, thanked them. There were several hundred people there besides the Burbank High baseball team. But it was a real nice ceremony. And I'll tell you, we lost Jimmy Weldon this year. He was the one that did Daffy Duck, I think, and some of the other sounds. He did the story about the flag, and they did a rendition. You'd think he was there. So, and they had a girl from Burroughs sing national anthem and another song, and she was just fantastic.
Okay, well, that's it for the week that was. So we're going to stand by for our usual commercial break for hopefully still trying to find
we got one
or two.
We got one next week?
Yeah, we have one next week.
Hopefully.
We need more. We need more than just one sponsor.
Oh, we do.
But
we have a new sponsor you'll hear. They're on the front of My Burbank. And next week when our official voice is back, we'll be able to maybe do a commercial with them. So
we'll be right back in just 1 second.
How would you like your business advertised in this very spot? My Burbank Talks is looking for local businesses interested in a 30-second spot to appear in our podcasts. If you're interested, please email advertising@myburbank.com and we'll be glad to discuss all the exciting possibilities with you. Now, back to our podcast.
Okay, Craig Sherwood here again with Ross Benson.
Hi there.
There he goes. I finally got him to talk.
Well, I had to take a sip of water. I was going to have to use the cough. Wait, is this a cough button or a sneeze button?
It's either one.
I don't want to sneeze on this microphone.
No, who knows where it's been. Let's start off the week that will be with our announcement of our winner from last week for our word of the week, and that would be Catherine Horan. You are the winner of last week's gift card for Hill Street Cafe. And we will have another word of the week for another winner later in the show. So keep listening. Who knows when that word's going to show up? But when it does, we'll let you know. So, thank you, Catherine, for listening. And please send us an email with your address so we can mail off the card to you right away for Hill Street Cafe. Ross, Hill Street Cafe. Gotta love the food.
Oh, yeah. And, Catherine, right now, they have turkey dinners, hot turkey dinner. They're going to be open on Thanksgiving. If you don't have anything to do, you can go get your turkey there.
Well, we live Talleyrand. If it's a little too busy, Talleyrand, head over to Hill Street.
That's right.
Their turkey dinner will give it a run for its money.
Very true.
So we appreciate Hill Street Cafe. Catherine, we appreciate you listening to us. It's amazing how many people are listening to our show now on a weekly basis, either through YouTube or the podcast platforms.
And
we appreciate it. We put a lot of work into this every week. We don't just show up and sit down. We actually put a lot of work into it. Writing a script. We have pre-meetings before the show and everything else. And we enjoy doing it, but there's a lot of editing that goes on afterward. So if you're watching this after, not live, you'll see the edited versions we have to put together,
Did I tell you that I had people come up to me at the Veterans Day ceremony, tell me that they're really enjoying the podcast? So I do know people are listening.
The one thing I found interesting, I was kind of looking at the city manager's notes, and there was a note on there about the next statue coming to Burbank.
Are they putting a statue of Craig Sherwood finally up at one of the ballparks?
No, there's not enough material in the world to put that together.
That'd be a lot of, what kind of material is that?
I don't know. A lot of blubber.
Pewter, copper, bronze.
Bronze, yeah, they could bronze me, yeah.
Yeah, just think if that statue got stolen.
Yeah.
You'd be worth a lot of bucks.
Anyhow, so the next statue coming is going to be, get this, you ready? The Green Lantern.
The Green Lantern.
Why the Green Lantern? I have no idea. DC, Warner Brothers and DC Comics, they use one of their characters, and I'm not saying that the Green Lantern is not a good character. I mean, it is. I think we've done one movie on him though. He's not in their superhero movies. How about Aquaman? He's in all their movies lately. But how about this? How about the guy who started it all? Superman.
Why
not do a Superman statue? I mean, the Green Lantern. Anyhow, so the Green Lantern statue is coming next to join Wonder Woman, Batman, and Burbank. We don't know
somebody once told me, I think they were looking at Magnolia Park or something, but I don't know.
Who knows? You know how it goes. They'll say something one year, and the next year, when there's a changeover of people, it's something else.
How true.
Holy cow. Anyhow, so look at that for that down the line. On Monday, which is today, is that today? That'd be today, right?
Oh, it is today.
All day and half of tonight. The Sustainable Burbank Commission met today at 5:00 in the Community Services Building, Now, once again, we're going to disrespect the Sustainable Burbank Commission because we are so good at that. The one commission that's working hard to do things, to put ordinances on, to do all sorts of work. We give the police commission carte blanche, give them the council chambers and everything else. But Sustainable Burbank, what do they get? They're being told now that, number one, there are some conflicts on the 2024 calendar that have 3-day holidays on their meeting day, and they need to change those days. Okay, I can get that. But they also want a new meeting location so the Landlord-Tenant Commission can use the space instead on those Mondays in the Community Services Building. You want to go, Ross?
My brain's just overflowing here.
They want to go back to the recycling center where they were before. I
got a new sound effect I'm going to request next week. Isn't that the Pac-Man sound? Do-do-do-do-do.
You mean?
There you go.
There you go. I don't get it. So once again, after 5-6 meetings at City Hall and the Community Services Building, which they don't, by the way, they're not recorded on video, they're going to send them back now and exile them. And I don't get it. You're going to have 3 or 4 meetings on a Monday, okay? And not only on Monday do they have Sustainable Burbank Commission going, they've got the Economic Development Strategy Plan Committee workshop going at 7. And besides that, they have the Planning Commission at 6. So there's 3 meetings right there alone.
I don't think there's enough parking downtown.
By the way, Ross, what meetings are they having on Thursday this week? Oh, wait, they're not. There are no meetings on Thursday. So let's have 4 meetings on Monday at the same time and no meetings on Thursday. I mean, instead of having them change the location, how about just change the day? Let's have it on Thursdays from now on. The second Thursday of every month or something. Why does it have to be? What is it with city people? And they just can't think.
Well,
they can't make a decision.
On this one, I think they lost their calendar.
Yeah, that's not all they've lost. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me why. And once again, a commission that's done a lot of things and working on ordinances and bringing things to the council is actually doing more than most of our commissions do in this city, are just being treated like a bad stepchild.
There you go.
Anyhow. So we'll move on. Anyhow. Economic Development Strategy Plan Community Workshop is from 6 to 7:30 at Community Services. Light refreshments will be provided.
I can promise you, Portos.
Well,
my hand is up. I'm sorry.
Are they
Portos at every city meeting? Betty Portos takes care of them.
But who's paying for it?
Oh, come on. They're going to meet for more than 20 minutes.
Are you and I paying for that?
You got it.
That's what I thought. Okay. And the capacity is 100 people. So I can't imagine even 25 people showing for that thing.
Yeah, kind of wonder.
Anyhow, the workshop is for the economic development 5-year strategic plan. They want you to provide your ideas and insights on where you want to work, eat, shop, and play in Burbank. Yeah, and they're really going to listen to you, too. They're really going to take those recommendations and do something with them. Or they're going to say, oh, we had a meeting and we had community input.
Well, on this one, I will say we won't see it real quick. But down the road, you'll see. And as we learned from the state of the city, economic development is really moving forward here in town.
Speaking of the state of the city.
State of the city?
The state of the city that we just had recently, that Mayor Anthony kind of got.
Yes.
Anyhow, he had his video go on the city's website that was supposed to be played at the State of the City address.
Did you see that? Yes, it was.
He was in a suit and tie, which is completely out of character for him.
Well, they put a lot of time. I will say, you and I know that the PIO's office
does tremendous work
working on that, and it takes a lot of.
By the way, shout out to Legend.
Legend,
of the PIO's office. If he's listening, he'll know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Legend.
Well, we'll see. But they spent tons of time working on this great video.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And then they scrapped it a week before,
They scrapped the mayor. They scrapped the video.
before the State of the City. And then, so there's a show called The Mayor Show. And I was flipping around the other day on my computer and I said, wait a minute. I've never seen that video. And I watched it. It was actually what they filmed for State of the City. So if you want to see what was originally planned,
there you go.
Instead of Nick Schultz, so I will say within a week, if you recall the video,
their plan B could have been a plan anywhere else.
Yep, they did a great job on that. So kudos and our hats off to the PIO for throwing that together and then being able to fit that video in quite well.
Okay, so the Planning Commission is meeting at 6:00, and they have one thing on the agenda. After the last two meetings were canceled for nothing on the agenda. All they have is a variance to allow a proposed swimming pool and spa to encroach into the required front yard setback of 14 feet. Anyhow, with a 6'5" fence for a single-family residence at 1310 Evergreen Street. I looked at that property real fast on the map, and it's just kind of on a triangle area, between Chandler and Burbank. And I you know what? They don't have a traditional yard and backyard, so I can see where they have to kind of put the side of their house instead. So that's fine. Hopefully they get that approved.
I will say I was at a ribbon cutting, and one of our planning commissioners was at that ribbon cutting. She's part of Burbank Coordinating Council. She listens to our podcast because she made a comment about my pet peeves, or my rants, not my pet peeves, but my rants. And I won't say what she laughed about, but she did bring it up to me the other day. So, Samantha, I wasn't supposed to say her name. Samantha, thanks for listening.
Absolutely, Samantha. We do thank you very much. Okay, here we go. Tuesday. Let's start. Okay.
Listen, wait. We got to warn them here. Fasten your seatbelt, folks, because this is going to be a rough ride here.
Yep.
I can see the steam coming out of my partner's eyes. I brought it up at dinner.
At the original run through, I put on the agenda for the council meeting. Really, not much to listen to. And we can do with that part of the agenda. Flush it down the toilet because there's a whole new ball game right now. To start off with, I'm going to play for you a little snippet from the last council meeting they had last week. Okay, this is from the council meeting 1 week ago when they adjourned it, and here is what was said.
Okay, great. We now adjourn the meeting in memory of City of San Fernando Councilmember Cindy Montañez to Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, for a joint meeting with the Burbank Unified School District Board of Education in the Community Services Building next door, room 104. That's across the street, 150 North 3rd Street on the first floor. Do not come to council chambers on the 14th. Go across the street. All right, thank you all, and good night.
Wait a minute, wait. Can you repeat that? I know I'm kidding you, but I listened to that meeting too.
Yeah.
They were supposed to meet with the school board because they can't fit all of them on the dais up there.
And
when
was that supposed to be?
Community services.
When?
Tomorrow.
The next meeting. So we look at the agenda, and what's it say on top of the agenda? City Council meeting, 6 p.m. at City Hall. And what does it say about the school board? Not a word anywhere. So my question number one is this. You've changed the meeting location
without notifying the public.
After you notify the public in a public meeting that it was going to be there and said, don't come to City Hall. Well, guess what? Don't go to the Community Services Building, people, because they're going to be at City Hall.
I'm totally confused.
Talking about hiding the weenie, poor Mike Nolan. They're hiding the whole meeting now.
Mike Nolan just turned over in his grave 3 times, and he's going, I think I'm going to go get a beer.
Now that's strange enough as it is. The fact that they've promised, and I looked at the council for, there's nothing on, you know what's on the agenda? There's a thing on the agenda saying, let's have a discussion about when we're going to have a meeting with the school board. And I'm going, wait a second, that's what you're supposed to be having tonight. Or maybe it is tonight or tomorrow night, and it's at the community services building, and they put the wrong thing on the agenda. I don't know. It is completely cats and dogs living together as one.
Well,
To quote Bill Murray in back in the day in Ghostbusters.
I've asked the city clerk's office once before, and they're supplied the agenda
Yeah.
and so forth. It's not, we're not pointing fingers, but folks, you got people. I hope there's a traffic officer out there directing people either to City Hall or the community services building, because either way, the agenda that they put out.
Yeah. Well, and if that's fine, but then at the meeting, you heard what he said. I played the snippet right there. That's it. The mayor talking. The mayor saying last week, the meeting will be. He said, "Don't go to City Hall."
But can I bring up a good point? You recall a couple weeks ago, or actually now, how many months ago, when they talked about encrypted radios, and our city attorney didn't know what he was talking about.
Not at all.
Our police chief was a little unfamiliar with what they were talking
because he's
about.
not the fire chief, so he knows
Police
that
chief.
he knows that in police that they went encrypted and it's the secret radio now. But he didn't know about fire.
But what gets me is, so we
tweeted that out that they were going to do that, and immediately you got calls from how many cities saying that's not true. And we're going, we're only saying what was brought up at the by the city attorney of the city of Burbank.
Yeah, and we and just now, you guys heard what they said last week at the end of the meeting about
And
tomorrow night's meeting.
so,
But it gets better,
oh,
does it not?
it gets better. And this is not on the agenda. In fact, what this came out in a press release today. Now, as you guys know, we had the hearing last week for Tin Horn Flats, and the judge ruled that Tin Horn Flats did not have a case against the city for First Amendment rights, which we all knew. It was just a ploy by Diegos just to, counter sue the city. But the judge also said in the case that the city of Burbank didn't have a case against them having a business in Burbank since they don't have a business in Burbank. It's a moot point. And he dismissed that part. Well, what came out today in the press release, and
now let's interject there.
A week later,
we had a reporter
in the courtroom.
Now I got to say,
and by the way, he asked the lawyers for a comment, and they wouldn't talk to him because they're lawyers. They don't, unless we're going to pay them $500 an hour, they ain't going to talk to us.
Well, folks, we're reaching out here. This time we had a reporter in the courtroom taking notes, and he wrote his story. And now, Craig,
so we got a press release today, and it said exactly what we said in our story, and then the last sentence said he dismissed. The city will now. This is it for it. They're done. They're done with it. So now, and by the way, so who made the decision that we're done with it? Because I've watched every time the city council meets in closed chambers and Tin Horn Flats is on the agenda, and even had a special meeting last week, and not once did the city attorney come back after it and say there was something reportable. It's always there was nothing reportable to talk about. So that means the council did not make this decision, evidently. Or if they did, then we're not getting the truth. Here's my problem. And we're coming after this big and hard. We're not this we just found out tonight. So trust me, the next couple of days we are going to do some huge research.
So let me read. And what gets me is this press release. The exact wording is, with this decision, all trial-related dates were taken off the court's calendar, and there are currently no further dates scheduled. Well,
which means this. So far, as of maybe a year ago, we were already owed close to $300,000 in expenses. Legal, police, everything. $300,000.
Fence put around, power department.
All the stuff that we had to do.
They had it line
all the
by
lawyers
line.
we had to pay for, everything else. And that was about a year ago. I'm gonna find out exactly how much money this is. Right now, I would think it's easily $500,000. And now somebody has made the decision. We don't know who. It wasn't the council because it was never reported out. It was never talked about at a meeting. Somebody has said, we're not going after them anymore for costs. We're not going to sue them for our costs. So what they're basically saying is this: we're throwing away $500,000 of taxpayer money, and we just don't really care. And if you do something that's really wrong, and we have to go fight in court, we just do it for looks. But down the line, 2-3 years later, hopefully it just goes away, and you won't even know we did anything about it. Well, no, we're not going to let this go away. That's money that we should have gone after. That's money that they purposely defied the city with, that gave the city a huge black eye nationally. And now we're going to say, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. They raised $100,000 on GoFundMe. Okay, so they have $100,000 at least in the bank. They also took $65,000 in PPP money from the federal government.
When you say that, you meaning the owner?
Yeah, Barfly Incorporated.
Right.
Took $65,000 in PPP money because that was meant to pay employees who couldn't work during the pandemic, but they were open and the employees worked. So what they basically did was they got pay employees for free, and they made all the money during that time. This is all disgusting. And well, I am so disappointed right now with every one of our city leaders and city officials who I always praise is doing the right thing. Well, right now they've turned their backs on us as taxpayers, us as a city, and they've hidden the information and never said, here's the decision we're making and here's why. It was all a secret.
Well, I think we need to clarify here. Last week, every week the part of the agenda, the mayor will ask what was brought up at closed session.
Any report.
The only thing that our city attorney reported on was a personal injury, single case.
And they're not allowed to talk about anything else that's not on that agenda in advance.
Right, because they did not put it out. So,
but they had a meeting the week before about Tin Horn Flats, a special meeting. And I watched it, and at that, nothing. Nothing at the end of that. Nothing that came back on and said, nothing to report or anything. They're supposed to come back even on a closed session meeting and report out and then close the meeting. They didn't do that on the video.
Well, and what's strange is we posted the article that happened like I said, we had a reporter in the courthouse.
We reported last week.
He said that there was going to be 2 more cases, the one in December and one in January.
Another hearing in December and a jury trial starting in January.
And that he reported out on the 6th. The 7th is when it says the
7th is when, no, the 7th was last
Tuesday.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, that's when, so council meets after a courthouse closes.
Yes.
It was decided on.
Well, who knows? Did the council even have any decision on this?
Did the council even know?
We don't know. Because once again, you might as well be on encryption. And only 5 people can hear it. And that's good enough for them. I'm telling you, this is actually very disappointing that I think they knew there'd be a huge blowback if they reported that the city's not going to try to recoup any of the costs.
I think that brought up
their case. I understand their case. The judge says you can't have a case against somebody not having a business in Burbank, but they don't have a business in Burbank. So it's a mute. I get that, but it has nothing to do to address the court costs, the lawyer costs, the police costs, the public service costs. Like I said, $295,000 as of at least a year ago. I will find out exactly how much has been paid to these outside lawyers who've been fighting this case for us. Because I'm right now, this is not going to roll over easy in my world. I'm sorry. Not when this city continuously charges a fee for everything. You want to change a light socket in your home? You need to get a permit from the city and pay a fee. You got to pay a fee for everything in the city. And yet, now, you know why you got to pay fees? So they can take money and throw it away and things like this. A year and a half, 2 years ago, that they fought the Pickwick thing. Everybody knew they were going to lose. We lost $500,000 on the Pickwick fiasco. you know what? It'd been nice to reclaim $500,000 from Barfly. Even if they didn't pay, it sets a precedent saying, if you do this, we're going to go out and it's going to cost you. But no, we're not doing a thing. We're just saying, oh, well, don't worry about it. Just, and there's nothing to stop them now to come back and getting another restaurant in Burbank. They legally could do that now. And they can't stop them.
Well, it just kind of, folks, we have brought up.
Why are we appealing it?
There's what's called transparency. We've had an issue with the police department going to encryption. So the public, okay, we understand why they went to encryption, but they have had 6 months now to rectify so the media could hear what's going on. The other police calls. You and I talked at our pre-planning meeting. They go on these, the fire department gets dispatched, and they said, PD suggests a stage. Stage for how long?
They can't hear them, but the point is that they did not have to go to encryption of all their channels. They made a conscious decision. It's their choice to do it. The state law says you cannot put people's personal information over the airwaves unless it's encrypted. Yes, absolutely. That's the law. That's a state law. And you know what they did 10 years ago? They put one of their channels encrypted that they've used for 10 years to use that information. So they've already had the technology. They already had an encrypted channel. And they tell me not to say things like, don't say we're secret. Don't say you can't, don't say these. No. You made the choice that we couldn't hear it.
Well, my point is, talk about transparency. There's one, this case with Tin Horn Flats is very clear. We got the press release today. It went out to all the media. And I, like I said to you.
And a week after it happened, not the next day.
So it kind of gets us about this transparency at City Hall, folks. If we weren't here talking about it, would anybody know about it?
Nobody would know about it. Yeah, they sent a press release out. Who's going to run the press release? The LA Times?
Right.
What? So 3,000 people in Burbank who get the LA Times might see it out of 100,000? The Daily News is going to run it? And nobody's going to run the release. That's like saying, it's frustrating, but that's why we're still around, because somebody's got to watch them. We lost Jules Kimmett, we lost Melvin Perlish, we've lost Mike Nolan, we've lost all the guys who used to watch over the city, and I feel we have that responsibility now to do that. But I'm telling you right now, I'm disgusted with all this secrecy going on lately. It's just, they have to tell us. And we'll do Freedom of Information Act, so we have to. But we will find out. Why don't we appeal that? Why is that not being appealed? Okay. And did we even ask for court costs? Did we even ask for lawyer fees? Did we even ask for damages? According to that release, it didn't say anything about the damages or anything else.
Right.
It just said we lost the case about having them located in Burbank. Okay, I get that. But that's not the whole case. But I guess we're just going to tuck our tails in our backside and run out of there.
I think somebody just texted you. They're calling 911 for you on your behalf.
They probably are. By the way, I'm going to try to figure out how we get the YouTube comments live in the future, just so we can actually maybe get public input during our show.
Well,
okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, we do have. Holy cow! I got to take a breath here. Anyhow, moving on.
November 15th, we have a ceremony.
Yes.
A very sad thing happened 20 years ago.
Yeah, we go from that being all fired up. Now we've got something. We've got it's a sad thing. And for those of you who remember when Burbank Police Officer Matthew Pavelko was killed at the hotel at San Fernando and
Ramada
Inn,
and Officer Greg Campbell was seriously injured.
Well, anyhow, we're going to put the Burbank Police Foundation is going to now put a flagpole and a plaque honoring him over on South Johnny Carson Park.
South.
Okay, that's off Riverside Drive, across from the dog park isn't there. It's just an empty lot now because we have.
Well, it will be.
Yeah, once again, we haven't figured out the dog park yet in 4 years. They're going to have a unveiling of the flagpole by the Burbank Police Foundation, who've paid for the funding, and the city has approved it. So there'll be a ceremony that we'll be covering on Wednesday.
And if I recall, I saw a ceremony at last week's council meeting where the Burbank Board of Realtors Charitable Foundation made a very large donation to the foundation for a plaque memorializing. Boy, I'm glad my tooth is in, but Matthew Pavelko. Matthew's dad was an LAPD detective. Matthew had been on the street only 10 months. First time Burbank had a police officer involved and are killed in the line of duty. And like I said, I remember that day, and it's
not the first time, but
third,
it's been 40 years, I think.
But what really gets me is Wednesday, it's supposed to be raining. It was raining that night that he got shot and killed. I remember Will Berry was the PIO. The train tracks went down San Fernando. That's where all the media met. I lived on Buena Vista, just near Empire, so I was there rather quickly. When I got there, Officer Randy Lloyd, who is still a Burbank motor officer, went down on the tracks. I got out of my car to help him and render aid to him, and he said, "Ross, go shoot pictures, go shoot pictures." I got a picture of him down on the tracks. He reminds me all the time he has that picture on his icebox. My son Matthew, at the time, held the umbrella for Will Berry at the press conference, and I was shooting pictures. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
and
just
I think
a
every
sad day in our city, and I'm glad we're doing something to remember him. Every year we do a little ceremony, I think at the police fire headquarters. Although it's not publicized much, which we missed some years because they don't tell us.
Well, I'm told that they're also going to run the guys that run the Baker to Vegas.
Yeah.
Are running from the ceremony on Wednesday to the police station in memory of Matt. And there's also many things people do not know. His locker is still in the police department locker room. The officers that work that day will be in their Class A uniform, all officers. That means long sleeve shirts, ties, the whole works in memory of Matthew. So people don't forget Matthew Pavelko.
Yeah, think of what you want of police, okay? But I got to tell you what job do you have where you wake up in the morning and you really don't know if you're going to make it home that night, and your family doesn't either? You know, that's everybody's nightmare in that situation, and you know, we really have an obligation to support them when we can. I know their contract is coming up, and I hope they get a nice new contract. But I'm going to tell you, and it's in a lighter note. What else is by that flagpole?
There is a monument that Bob Hope dedicated many, many years ago to the troops that served.
And you and I were both there to watch it.
Yep, and I don't know the name off the top of my head.
And unfortunately, we call that statue.
I'm not going to say it.
The testicles.
I
said it. I'll go there. We have no idea what that statue is supposed to be.
Something of the Constitution.
It's a forgotten statue. In fact, we tried to look it up tonight on the city website to see, you know, the statues. There is not a list of statues anywhere on that city website. You couldn't tell. Yeah, we have a statue somewhere of Dr. David Burbank. I believe at Victory in Burbank. But there's nothing. You know, we talk about the Batman statue and the Wonder Woman statue, but we don't talk about any other statues that we actually put up for a reason. So I don't know where our priorities are some days. Also on Wednesday, they're having a Media District Specific Plan Update Public Workshop number 5. And they're going to be having that. Where are they going to have that? They're having that somewhere. Let me take a look here. I got notes about that somewhere. It's at the Buena Vista Library from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So learn about the draft land use concept and ask questions to our project team. Once again, will they listen to you? Who knows? But They can say at the next council meeting, "Oh yeah, we had a meeting. We talked to residents, and we'll do what we want to do anyway." Okay. Also, on when is it Wednesday or Thursday? I believe it's Wednesday.
Oh, your favorite?
Oh yes.
Wait, don't we? Now that one we do.
Oh, we do have that. This is not breaking news, though. This is just news. Enough of that. The police commission is going to be at 6 p.m. at City Hall. Now, the police commission is not going to talk about things like encrypted radios and why they're doing it and what they're trying to do to be more transparent. Because that's, oh my goodness, that might be controversial. That might be actually police stuff that they can actually figure out. No, we're not going to talk about things like that. We're going to talk about, number one, there'll be a presentation and a discussion of the recommendations presented in the Racial Identity and Profiling Act they call RIPA and the annual report. So we're going to have a presentation on that report about RIPA. And I guarantee you when they're done with that report, they'll say, "Oh, thank you very much for the report. We'll note and file that." We're not going to send anything out to the public. We're not going to make any kind of presentation. Thank you very much. Then they're going to have a presentation and a discussion on trends of domestic violence with respect to mental health, substance abuse, and coming out of the COVID pandemic. Now, I'm not sure they keep the stats for all that time. How much work is the Burbank Police Department staff putting into putting this report together for these guys? And what are they going to do with it? Absolutely nothing. Note and file. Thank you very much for spending hours putting this together and spending your time to deliver it to us and making these PowerPoint presentations and everything else you're going to do. And we're not going to do a thing with it. And then the third presentation and discussion. And get this one. It's going to be on mailbox thefts, including types of property taken, trends, and patterns of investigative actions. Well, let me tell you what happens. Somebody breaks into a mailbox, the Burbank police will take a report. And you know what they do? They turn it over to police commission. Listen now, I'm going to make this easy on you. They turn it over to the postal inspectors who run their investigation, who find out what mail was taking and what kind of pad. That's up to the federal government. That's not up to Burbank Police Department.
Well, again, my curiosity. Why the police commission? What are they going to do with the information and why? What is the purpose of them requesting this information? Sometimes it just baffles me.
We got to have it, and then the councilman say, "Well, we have all these recommendations and all these things and all these subjects," and they list all the subjects off to the council, and it's like, okay, but what did you do about it?
Well,
what did you recommend? Did you do anything?
It kind of gets me that every month they have a meeting and they request these reports.
It's busy work. It's busy work for the department. It's busy work for the city attorney's office. It's busy work for the PIO's office.
Right. It is plenty of work. But what do they do with the report once they want to feel important. They want to feel that they sit on the police commission and they're doing something. But honestly, you remember the man on the street?
Sure.
I remember at the Daily Review, Burbank Leader, I would be sent down the Golden
Burbank
Mall.
Scene. I did the Burbank Scene.
Walk down the Burbank Mall. Ask 6 people
a question.
I guarantee if you ask them anything about the Burbank Police Commission, they're either going to scratch their head or scratch their ass. Because you know what? 90,000 people in the city have no clue. And if you ask them, what last month, they got 3 reports. Do you know what they were? Again, it's for the benefit of the 7 people sitting there. And that is all.
And the 23 people watching it on YouTube.
And I was on the wrong camera the whole time. I'm sorry, folks.
Well, I got to see me instead. Is that it? They're looking at me?
Yes, they did. I'm trying to do 2 things. We had a council member texting me, and so that's why I'm kind of...
It's tough to actually do 2 things at once, isn't it? Now you see what I have to do over here on this side.
Yes.
Okay, anyhow, I mean, but please don't talk about encrypted radios. Don't talk about things that are, I don't know. And we brought it up to the commission, and we asked them when it first happened. They said, "Oh, we know nothing about it," and they didn't ask about it. They didn't. It's like, well, we don't want to rock the boat. Do you understand why the police commission was even formed back in the 50s? Because of all the corruption in the Burbank Police Department, and they had to have an oversight board to, because we had a police chief fired, a mayor fired,
Mickey Cohen and his boys.
Yeah, they all lived down in the
car.
In the media district.
Nope, Rancho.
Rancho district. I'm sorry, the Rancho district.
I think I told you the story, and I did at lunch when we had lunch the other day at the Dewdrop Inn. My buddy, Glenn Duke, when he worked for the power department, he used to collect their bills, and before you could go down to Mickey Cohen and his boys, you had a phone there, and they would wait for you to stop by and pick up your power bill. And he said that's because they were playing cards and everything else inside. So back in the day when Mickey Cohen ran the city of Burbank.
I've heard, which I can't verify, but I heard a lot of the mafia families back in the day all lived up in the hills of Burbank. And there was never any crime up there whatsoever because the word was out. You don't do crime around the families.
Wait a minute. Is that what that chicken on my door?
No, that's the horse's head on your bed.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait.
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed?
Hello. I'm Mr. Ed.
Yes, you are. And don't ever forget that. Okay, let's move on to
folks, we warned you. We told you to buckle your seatbelts and put on your bow tie because this meeting, when we sat down at our pre-meeting, Craig turned to me and said, there's not much to talk about tonight. And then I dropped on him this press release, and I saw he took a bite of his burger, and it started coming out his ears.
Anyhow, well, Friday, rain or shine.
Wait, wasn't there a car commercial used to say that?
No,
rain or shine.
No.
What?
No, I think that's you buy a ticket to a show and it says a concert. It says rain or shine. Anyhow, rain or shine. It's Holiday in the Park this Friday night, and so far they've put. They are still actually waiting for a permit from the city, from what I understand. They don't have a permit yet to have this event from the city, but we're going to have it. It's going to happen. A lot of people have put a lot of work into this thing. Ross, I know you're on the committee. You represent my Burbank on the committee.
I had hair when I started on the darn committee.
Yeah. That was back in the early days of rock and roll.
Yeah, people, I will say, it's put on by the Magnolia Park Merchants Association, and they have a committee called Holiday in the Park Committee.
How appropriate.
And we hired Ashley Erickson, who kind of has run it before. This year she got paid to, it is very, 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 did I say very? Difficult. She has, her hair used to be red. I don't think she has hair anymore because she has dealt with a lot of problems that have become.
The city keeps asking for more things, even a week before the event.
Just last week they asked.
Yeah.
They asked for our traffic plan. It was in the original drive we gave them back in August.
Yeah, because it starts earlier now, they have to have a different traffic plan. That's the same traffic plan.
So the committee, there's Karen Ross, who is the president of Magnolia Park Merchants, Teresa Hanna, and her husband David, who own a business in Magnolia Park. We have about 6 or 8 committee members that put this whole event on. Road King's going to have, I think, 40 cars there. Ferris wheel. You and me. I must have said Ferris wheel.
And that's it, the word of the week. So guess what? If you email to winners@myburbank.com or contest@myburbank.com and use the word Ferris wheel. That's that again. What is that, Ross?
Ferris wheel.
Then you'll be entered for a contest for a $25 Hill Street Cafe gift card. And by the way, Catherine, Only one winner every 3 months, so you're out of the contest this week. But everybody else, send in your emails, and we will select a winner and report in next week's show. So let's get back to the Ferris and everything else.
Well, besides the Ferris wheel, you and me for the first, I think Santa Claus will be there posing for official portraits. You and me, as a parting gift, will be doing their caramel
apples.
Apples.
People love those caramel
for the
apples.
first 150 or 200 people. We have numerous food trucks that will be some news. Some have been out here before. One of the churches, can't think of the name. My brain just totally flaked, but they will have the block between California and Ontario with a climbing wall and all sorts of stuff. And again, rain or shine, the event goes on. The street's getting closed down earlier this year. 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they'll close the street. We're going to have it cleared off by 10.
8 a.m.
Yep, because it takes a lot to market. And if we have to market if it's wet, where booths are going to be and so forth. And we have a lot going on that day. So come on out. It's the biggest thing going on in Burbank on Friday night.
It's the only thing in Burbank going on anymore. No more parade. No more. The city's made it so hard to run any kind of event in this city that this is like the last event where the community can actually get together for one night. And it's always the most well-attended event of the year. And, and here's the thing, folks. Bring your checkbook, bring your credit card, bring your smartphone with your credit card involved in your smartphone, and go inside the businesses in Magnolia Park. Because, those businesses are actually paying for this. And support them. Buy something in these stores. Look, at least go ahead and take a look and say, hey, you know what? There's some presents in here I might want to get later down the line. They need your support. We can't lose Magnolia Park, and it's a very unique area. I think there's very few places like Melrose in Los Angeles is kind of a unique area too for shops. Well, so is Magnolia Park. Not a lot of places like that anymore. So support our little local merchants. They really do need your support. Those aren't corporations there. Those are individual people.
Well, you talk about support. This event, at our committee meeting last week, we added up the police department, the safety gear, the everything that we need to put in, $98,000 price tag it costs to put on this event. Folks, $98,000. Now, I will say, to make it safe, the city is nice enough to donate part for the street closure. They do part of it. We do the rest. This year, people are going to see some new barricades, which cost quite a bit more. They're required. But all those things add up, and it's a very expensive event to put on. That's why we'd love to have people come out and enjoy it and think about kicking off the holiday season in Magnolia Park.
Yep. Well, then after you've walked up and down Magnolia Park for 3 hours on Friday night, go home and soak your feet, because on Saturday morning you got the street fair on San Fernando Road between Angelino and Magnolia. They're going to close down San Fernando. And they're also going to have the wine walk at the same time. So, and this isn't whining about how much your feet hurt. This is whining about the drink. So,
if I'm right, the fair goes from 12 to 8, but the wine sampling is from 4 to 7.
Right.
And you got to be 21.
Got to be 21.
And you got to get a ticket, but don't get a ticket driving home.
Okay, yep. So, there'll be a lot going on there.
I'll tell you, this weekend.
Now, there was also supposed to be on Saturday, there was supposed to be the family festival in the park at Johnny Carson. Now, that was the Burbank Arts Fall Festival, they called it. It was supposed to be last month or so, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, but they thought it was going to rain, so they canceled it.
No, they thought wait a minute. They thought we were going to have a what storm was coming through? A
monsoon or something.
Yeah.
A tornado. I don't know what it was, but they canceled it and it turned out not to rain that day. So they rescheduled for, guess what? Saturday, and guess what it's supposed to do on Saturday? It's supposed to rain again. But it's at Johnny Carson Park from 2:15 to 7 o'clock. We looked on the website, the city's website, to confirm it, and it wasn't there. And there's no mention of it anywhere. So we're assuming, and once again, we're assuming because the city doesn't seem to be updating a lot of their stuff lately. In fact, we went on the Park and Rec website to look, and I got to be honest with you. If you got a few minutes, go look at the City of Burbank's website and bring up Johnny Carson Park. And 2 of the 3 pictures show nothing but weeds. It is the most.
You can tell they're not Ross A. Benson photos.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you and I are both photographers for how long? And that would not be the picture I would ever want to use to highlight a park, is a dry riverbed with a bunch of weeds in it. I mean, that was embarrassing to look at. So, holy cow. Really, that's the best we can do? I mean, that just shows you, you give somebody a cell phone and 10 minutes of education, and that's what you get back. So, anyhow. So, it's supposed to be on Saturday from 2:15 to 7. It might be raining again. They're supposed to show the night before Christmas at 5 o'clock. It says there'll be food trucks and family fun, live performances, music, art, and a 30th anniversary screening of The Night Before Christmas, we just said. So we don't know if they're going to have it or not. We assume they were. When you say the word assume, especially when it comes to the City of Burbank. Anyhow. Okay, that's it for the week that will be, except, of course, I've got to come up with a sound effect for your rant. I've got to come up with something, I don't have anything that's really going to be.
We can't use Phantom of the Opera theme song, can we?
No, we can't use that. But we'll come up with something for you, But anyhow,
I think that this week's rant.
What is Ross's rant for this week?
I listened to two items. First, those what were they called? Hangars down in Orange County,
right?
And
Custon, I think.
Custon, and I've been down there because the police department used to use.
Those are World War II hangars that are very famous and used in a lot of
blimps in there.
Yeah,
and I've seen them.
Blimps during World War II.
Yeah, well, I've been right next to them because that's where Orange County Sheriff trains. So I've seen them, but what did they experience a day later? That fire had to burn uncontrollably.
And the fire is still burning. It's still lighting up.
Last night it was. But it's putting off asbestos, lead, other unknown contaminants. Folks, how prepared are you? 2 days ago, I listened to LA City all night long fight the fire down on the 10 freeway. We have pipelines, crude oil going under our streets, along the railroad tracks along San Fernando. Remember when they put them in?
And what's on those railroad tracks, by the way?
Oh, train cars with unknown chemicals. We have 2 freeways coming through town that transport unknown chemicals. What I'm bringing up, how prepared are you when the unexpected happens? If you were locked down into your house for 5 days, or there was a chemical, whatever, do you have an N95 anymore? Are you prepared?
Know what N95 is?
N95 net mask.
Okay.
And if you notice, that's what they've told all those people down in Tustin to wear. But how, things like this happen I can snap my fingers and you never know what's going to happen. You need to be prepared. And this is a good example. We might live in nice little Mayberry RFD known as Burbank.
Let's not forget about earthquakes.
Happen anytime.
Anytime.
Well, these other things can happen anytime. And are you prepared if it did? And I highly recommend you just think about it and get prepared. Nothing to worry you, but do you have your water? Do you have, an N95 mask? Do you know where to tune in? Do you have any cash with you? It's all these things that you need.
Batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, water, battery, just the simple things, because when that earthquake hits, it's going to happen. We're going to get a lot of, things are going to break. And
I thought those were I thought those were your real good dishes.
Oh, those got eBayed.
Well, that brings us, that's my rant of the week. It's not that we did forget about Craig Derling. He's on special assignment. We forgot to say that.
You know what's funny about special assignment when you really think about it? You watch the newscast at night, they say, so-and-so is on assignment, or so-and-so is off to... Nobody cares. They just want to hear the news. And we love Craig, and he does a great job, and he's a great perspective, but nobody really cares why he's not here. But we still want to say he's on special assignment.
He hopes to be back with us very soon. I know that.
He's doing something that he loves to do right now, and that's amazing for him.
Right.
So,
well, you know what? When we started this show, we thought we were going to have a 21-minute show,
yeah.
and it turns out to be.
Yeah, we're about an hour and 15 minutes.
That's about what we normally go.
And
I don't want to. It's not because we go that certain length. That's because I know how long before I need to get to the bathroom. Those lemonades at Patty's.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much.
And we're not going to forget about the Tin Horn Flats thing. This is something that's going to be a major story down the line. And if you're listening to this, ask questions. Ask your city officials questions, because I learned something a long time ago when it comes to city officials and company officials and everybody who makes decisions. They'll make a decision and they'll say, well, people aren't going to like this. We're going to have a lot of blowback. Yeah. You know what they all say? You know what? Yeah, it's for the first 30 days, we're going to get a lot of crap. And next 60 days, we get a little. After 90 days, everybody's going to forget about it and move right on. And that's what's going to happen now. We'll take the heat, and then they'll just forget about it.
It's funny you say that. I had a very good friend in a program that I was in that would always say, what was your biggest problem 6 months ago to the day? That day, it was real big. But I bet you can't remember to the day what it was.
That's a great point. And with that, think about that yourself. You're laying in bed tonight. Think about, what was my biggest problem 6 months ago? Hell, what was your biggest problem 6 weeks ago? So
there you go.
There we go. Okay. Well, once again, for Ross Benson, this is Craig Sherwood. We thank you for those who listen live, and those who are listening not live. We still appreciate you, and thank you very much. So we will talk to you again next week.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Gain Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Burbank, Logix Credit Union, Hill Street Cafe, Bertain Escobar Wealth Management, and the UPS Store on 3rd Street.